everybody. Welcome to Get the Word Out. I am so happy to welcome Kelly Thompson, who is running for Congress in Indiana as a Democrat. It's a pretty brave thing to do. And I want to know, why is she doing this? I am really close friends with Dr. Tim Peck, who is my co-founder in Project Next. And he ran for Congress last time and he's running again. And I know how hard this fight is if you are running as a Democrat in this state. You have to be really, really driven to want to do this. And I want to know, why does Kelly want to do this? Why is she driven? I'm seeing her everywhere. She's running for Congress way up in the northern part of the state, but she's popping up. She's doing the work. Why? And what do we need to do to help Kelly and help everybody else that is fighting for us to save Indiana and the country? Kelly, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing
Thank you.
today?
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving lots of people like me a platform to be able to talk about why we are doing what we are doing. And I am doing great today. I mean, what we don't have a choice. We have to be doing great because we have work to do, right?
We got to get be as mentally fit as possible, my
That's
friend, so
right.
that we
That's
can
right.
do this work. You were so
That's
right.
right.
And I'm really picky on who my friends are and who I call when I am down, because I got to get up quickly. We don't have time.
Exactly right. We don't have time to wallow. Too much at stake.
Yeah.
That's right. I get
Yeah,
it.
so I just know the teeniest tiniest bit about you, and I'm really glad that you all reached out to come on. Can you, like, what made you wake up one morning and say, that's it, I'm running for Congress and Indiana as a Democrat? Like, what made you do this? Because this is so hard and so much work, and our districts are big, and why?
Yeah. So why? I could talk for hours about the why, but to boil it down for you, because we don't have hours right now, is I am a mother of six kids. They are all adults now, and they have very generously given me 12 grandbabies. My family is black, white, brown, gay, straight. I have a trans cousin. Um, they are union workers, they are business owners, they are single parents. My family looks like the cross section of America, and so I don't know how to sit this fight out. Everywhere I look, it seems as if there are forces at work to make this country that we call home less safe, less equal, and less free for every member of my family. So, yeah, I'm running for Congress because Congress is supposed to have the power of the purse. They are supposed to have the power to legislate the laws and policies of the land. And so when I look at what is happening, at the systems that are in place, and about the laws that are being passed, and about the where our money is being spent, and then I look at my family, which is just like looking at your family, I see that our tax dollars have not been for quite some time working for us. And so I thought, I need to run for Congress. Why am I running as a Democrat? That's a whole nother question, but it's a very simple answer. The reason is because there is only one party who bravely says that part of our platform is fighting for working families. It's just too hard to make it today, and it shouldn't be in this, the richest country in the world. So I had to go with the party that says, you know what? We need to protect paychecks. We need to protect schools. We need to protect healthcare. We need to protect housing. We need to protect our children. Where else am I going to run? So I'm running as a Democrat. Does it take courage? You betcha it takes courage. It takes courage to run, period.
Yeah.
But to run as a Democrat in this state, yes, it takes an insane amount of optimism. But this is why I'm doing it, because those issues that I just mentioned, healthcare, housing, education, childcare, all of these things, they are not red or blue issues. These do not just affect Democrats or Republicans. These affect families just like mine and just like yours. And so that's why. That's
Yeah.
why. Does it take courage? Yeah. So what? We got courage. Let's go.
The thing that I'm realizing now that a lot of my Democrat friends don't see, and I used to not see, is you understand what's at stake. You
Yep.
are worried about your big, beautiful, wonderful, diverse family. I am
Yes.
also worried about my family. I'm worried about
Right.
my 7-year-old twins being able to continue to go through public education here in Harrison County, because we don't have any charter schools. We don't have any religious schools in our county. We just have online schools that aren't as good. So I'm worried about my kids having good education. I'm worried about all of the people that I love and care about. I'm worried about Palmyra, my little town that I live in, that's suffering. But the thing is, these people are suffering. they're struggling to stay housed. They're struggling to put food on the table, to pay their bills that keep increasing. And they do not know why these things
Right.
are happening. They're
Right.
just doing everything they can to stay housed and to feed their families. So I
Yes.
feel like the biggest issue when you run for Congress, and like I'm running for state house, is explaining to this people who are not politically engaged because they cannot afford to be right now.
Right.
That's I think the biggest issue or one of them.
Yes, so you just said they can't afford to be right now. And the truth is, we have a couple different currencies. We have dollars and we have time and we have energy. And we don't have the time or the energy to be as educated as we should be before we vote. No fault on working families.
Right.
No fault of their own. My son just moved in with his family because they're between houses right now, which is a whole nother story. But the truth of the matter is, I got up this morning and my 3-year-old grandson came running down the stairs and jumped on my lap. Where normally I would sit and watch some news in the morning, I was trying not to spill my coffee as he was playing with me. And I realized, and I said to my daughter in law this morning, listen, this is a full-time job. This parenting, this trying to live life, stay housed, keep food on the table, keep the lights on, keep the car insurance paid, keep the car payment made, show up to work on time. They don't have time to know. So part of my job as running for Congress is to meet with the voters, all the voters, red voters, blue voters, white voters, green voters. I don't care. Anybody who can vote, and let them know it's not your fault that life is this hard. These are the systems that we have in place that have been designed to help only the top 1%, and the rest of us are struggling. And the reason that that is allowed to continue is because we have not elected the right people to power. The people that we have put in power have worn a costume and convinced us that they know more than us, but they don't. They have not felt our pain. So it's time to get people in power who have felt our pain so that we cannot shame the families who are struggling, but will instead say, I see you, I am you, and I'm working hard to fight for you, regardless of what party, whether there's a D or an R after my name. This is my job, and this is what I'm going to do because I'm going to do it for my kids. And as I do it for my kids, I'm doing it for your kids. There is no amount of money any lobbyist can give me that will pull me off task.
Yeah,
That's my job.
same. Yeah,
Yeah,
same. Because
right?
we want to fight for our families and our futures, and
We
that's
have
priceless.
to fight. We don't, it's not even, it's past want.
Yeah.
We're in critical have to mode right now. We
I
have
read
771,000 people that are unhoused in this country right now. This, the richest country in the world. We do. That shouldn't happen. The
right.
majority of those are kids who have aged out of the foster care system or veterans. Both of those, not their fault. I've
I
had it.
love that you focus on that. And I want to talk about that a little bit. You said it is not these people's fault that they're working multiple jobs, that they can't pay attention to politics because they don't have the time or the energy. I really like it that you said it that way. I see the systems that are put in place to hurt us also gaslighting us to tell us it's our fault. I see
Exactly.
that all the time. I see it at the local level, at the tiniest level down here in Palmyra. I see people being told it's their fault that they're having to work multiple jobs. And I'm like, don't let them gaslight you. Shine that
Right?
light, shine that mirror right back on them.
Yes.
That is a trick that works because
Yes.
people feel shame for
Right.
not being able to afford groceries. They feel
Yep.
shame that it's so hard to pay their bills. And it's like, no, 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 no. You take
And
that shame right off.
yes, because what that shame does is it works against us. When we are ashamed, then we don't share our stories. And when we don't share our stories, then everybody who's struggling feels like it's only them. There must be something wrong with them. So not only do we not come together as people to fight for what we deserve, but we isolate ourselves and we hide our struggles. And that works against us. That keeps those same systems in place because nobody wants to be the one to challenge. I'm here to say I've had my house in foreclosure. When the housing market burst in 2008, we own a concrete contracting company. When that happened, all of our contracts disappeared, just dissipated. And people were like, yep, nope, we're going to wait and see what the stock market does. We were a family with 6 kids, 2 additional kids living with us that just simply needed a safe home to stay in. And all of a sudden, we had no income. What was I supposed to do? Do I keep the wall forms and the boom truck and let the house go? Or do I let the house go and keep those were decisions that had to be made. And I have a business degree. I know what I'm doing, right? But it was a time where I felt that mm, temptation to feel shame and to hide, but I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. So we did what we needed to do. We refinanced our home. We were able to stay. But you know what really pissed me off was I watched our government take our tax dollars and bail out the banks that created this suffering.
Yep.
That's what happened. And I've had it. Why did that happen? Because there weren't people like me and people like you in the positions of power that could say, if anybody's going to get bailed out, it's the families that are showing up to work every single day and paying their taxes. And they're the ones that are suffering in the middle of this. Not fair, not right, not on my watch.
Yeah, I don't like how when the rich people mess up, they bail out the rich people.
Right?
With the people in power, the
That's
people
exactly
that
it.
can afford the lobbyists to
Hmm.
influence the elected officials. But when it's the regular, hardworking, everyday American suffering, they're like, "Oh, that's your fault. You didn't work hard enough."
Exactly.
And it's like,
Yep.
"No, it's your fault, and it's time we voted you out and we put
Exactly.
us in." But
Absolutely.
but the other problem, and there's so many problems, it's hard not to get overwhelmed, it's hard not to get stressed
Especially
out, it's
now.
hard not to
Yep.
lose hope, but another major problem is the division. The people in power want us divided. The people
They
with the
have to.
money, they want Democrats and Republicans fighting because if we united and worked together and called out their selfishness and their greediness and we voted them out, they would lose their power. And instead
Exactly.
of fixing the system so that our lives are easier, so that we could have one job and take care of our families and pay our bills and not be stressed out every day about money. They don't
Hmm.
want that. They don't want
Yep.
us there. So instead of fixing it, they're making it so that we hate each other. And I
Exactly.
see that as a major problem in Indiana, the
It
hate,
is.
fear, and division.
It's a major problem in Indiana. It's a major problem across the country. And it's not just a problem. We have to understand it's a tactic. Okay.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
intentional.
Yes.
They want us to fight our families. They want us to fight our neighbors. They want us to see each other as people who can never agree. But let me just ask you, and all listeners and watchers that are out there right now, I don't care if you voted red or voted blue or how you voted, just some really simple questions. Do you think that in an economy that we've built where two people need to work, that we should have enough childcare in order to take care of our kids? Yes,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think that this childcare should be affordable?
Yes.
Yes,
Eh,
right? Do we think that public schools are important? Yes.
yes.
Do we think that it's okay that in this country, the richest country in the world, the number one reason for bankruptcy is medical debt, and that we are the only industrialized nation that this is true for? That's
Wow.
not right. That's not fair. This is listen, my dad and mom were two-time Trump voters. The only reason they didn't vote for him the third time was because my mom has stage 4 breast cancer and she couldn't be out because of her chemo in a crowd, so they just didn't vote last time. But we just spent over a week in the hospital where I was driving my 85-year-old dad back and forth to be able to spend that time with her because she had a bad reaction to her chemo. And we were so frustrated. My dad was so frustrated with the healthcare system because they were determining when she could go home, how long she could stay, what treatments she was allowed to have. The hospital couldn't reach them. And then when they finally got the approval from the healthcare, the home care people wouldn't work with United Healthcare because they say we don't get paid from them. And my dad was so frustrated. He goes, Kelly, this doesn't make any sense to me. It's like we give our money to the insurance providers, and then the insurance providers don't pay the doctors and the nurses that are taking care of us, and they're the ones who get to decide what kind of care and treatment your mother gets. I said, yeah, Dad, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Long story short, I was sitting at his kitchen table 2 weeks ago and he said, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do because this whole thing feels like fascism. And my mom says, well, we vote for Democrats from now on. And my dad said, yes. So here's
Wow.
here's the good thing. It's a terrible thing. It's terrible, but it's good. And this is why. Suffering will not only hit one side. I hate
Yeah.
saying one side. It's
Yeah.
going to touch all of us. And when it does, we will be scrambling to find who do we hang on to in this age of uncertainty and suffering. Who
Yeah.
do we hang on to? And I'm hoping that we can find voices like mine who are here to say, I will fight for you. I don't give a damn what party I'm affiliated with because parties change. They follow their leaders. You can't count on the fact that the Democratic Party today is going to be like the Democratic Party 10 years from now. Nor can you trust that the Democratic or the Republican Party of 20 years ago is like the Republican Party today, right? So, what doesn't change? The struggles of everyday working families. That never changes. So, find the people who are running for office who have promised and you trust will fight for you and vote for them regardless of party affiliation. And I've heard you say that. Vote
Yeah.
for people over party. Stop
Yeah.
paying attention to party. Find your
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And I think, we're scared. It doesn't matter who you voted for or if you voted. Most people are scared right now,
Yes,
and they might not know why things are more
right.
expensive and why healthcare is worse and why everything's confusing, but they are scared. And I
Yep.
think in order for us to beat this in November 2026, we have to explain why they're scared in a way that makes sense to them.
And
And
in a way that's digestible and not more scary.
yes,
It's hard to deliver bad news, and
right.
it's hard to deliver information in a way that keeps the defensive walls from coming up.
Yes.
That's really important. Communication and how we communicate is powerful right now.
But
The
there's
one thing
so
my
much
6 kids have
fear
taught me is
about
that,
the other
right?
side is wrong. The other side is lying. And so if they
Yep.
pump that in enough, Republicans lie, Democrats lie. If they pump that in enough, it's to make enough fear that you don't even listen to the
Mhm.
truth. So
Mhm.
it is such a hard thing. And think about conspiracies.
Mhm.
People go towards conspiracies too because of fear and because there's so much information and they kind of want an easy answer to a problem, and sometimes the conspiracy's right there to make it
Mhm.
easy and make it so
Mhm.
we can understand, and we have to combat those also. Like, they spread like wildfire
Mhm.
online, and
Mhm.
Democrats have a bunch of conspiracies they believe too, so it's not like it's just the Republicans. We're fighting this fear. This People are in survival mode. They're panicking. They can't pay attention to the news because they're just trying to stay housed and feed their families. And it's like, I think the answer is what you're saying. And to simplify it, it's empathy. Let's
Empathy.
freaking care about everyone, even those that have been lied to and are tricked. I think
Listen,
that's, you know,
yes, I agree with you. Empathy is powerful and necessary. But as you said that, I remembered that when I was in high school, I wanted to be a lifeguard. And there's something in me that's been wanting to help people my entire life. But I wanted to be a lifeguard and I went to lifeguard training. And I remember they told us if somebody's drowning, you must never jump in to save them. You have to toss the buoy in and pull them in, because if you jump in to save
to
them,
pull you
they
down.
will climb you, right? They're trying to survive. And that is what we're up against. Empathy is almost a luxury when you are in survival mode, and so many of us are right now, that it's really hard to find the space, the emotional space to carry empathy. How can you care for other people when you're terrified that you can't take care of your own? That's really hard. And so, this is where we need the help. This is where we need people to break down these issues. You talked about conspiracies. I just want to I want to address that for a second, because conspiracies are also a tactic, right? We need to learn to identify, does this draw us together or does this push us
Mhm.
apart?
Yep.
That's the critical thinking skills that we are missing. I don't care whether you get your news from Fox News or from CNN. I don't care. Listen for whether or not what they're saying is trying to unite us or divide us. What
Right.
our role is as parts of the resistance of, of people who are trying to protect each other is to say, I refuse to be divided from my neighbor. I refuse to cut off communication. I want to stay connected with you. We don't understand each other yet, but our struggles are the same. Our
Ye
struggles are the same.
Yeah. And I have so much empathy for people that are cutting off people that voted differently.
I get
I
it.
became way too extreme during the pandemic during the Black Lives Matter. I really went super far to the left and I just cut off people. I blocked
Mm,
them. I stopped
mhm.
being friends with people. And I understand that it was my panic. It was my survival mode. It was the pandemic was so scary and we were very
Right.
isolated. So we were very
Yep.
online. And
Yes.
I have empathy to forgive myself for becoming that way. And I also was able to climb out of it. And I'm very thankful for that. And so my heart goes out to those of us that are so extreme right now that we can't even function or possibly believe that Republicans aren't all bad.
Right.
I have empathy for it, but I'm telling you, if you don't climb out of it, we're going to keep the division alive and we're going to keep this problem happening. We can't solve it with the division. We have to talk to people that aren't voting or that are voting Republican. If we don't, we just keep doing it and we're going to lose our country and our freedom. So,
Yes.
do we want to be right or do we want to help the country, save the
Right.
country,
Do
you
we
know?
want to be right or do we want to fix things? And
Yes.
listen, I have lived in this community where I live now. It's a small little town with two stoplights. And I've raised all six of my kids here. They all went to public school here. And I got to know a lot of the families and a lot of the teachers and a lot of the community. And we started a nonprofit, oh, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago now, just in response to a teenage suicide problem that we were having
Oh,
that I thought, oh my God, we got to find a way to help these kids understand that tomorrow is worth sticking around for, even though is very hard for them. And I'm going to summarize this really quickly here. It grew into a nonprofit that offered summer school programs and counseling for families. And we had a coffee house where kids could just come hang out and have free Wi-Fi, whatever they needed. It
wow.
just was community. It became a community living room. And what I found in doing this is that in this community, that the world, the government, the media will tell you is deeply divided. Red versus blue isn't. I remember one story where there was a kid that wanted to be in band and he needed a trumpet. And his grandmother came into the drive through of the coffee house and says, "You guys don't happen to have an extra trumpet in there for my grandson? I don't have the money to get him a trumpet, but he
Aw.
really wants to try." I put on Facebook, "Does anybody have an extra trumpet?" And within an hour and a half, we had three people nobody once asked, "Is this a Republican family or a Democrat family?" When houses burn down, we don't ask, "How did they vote?" We show up for each other. So we have to carry that unity, that indivisibility, and extrapolate that out to our communities, to our state, and to our country. This is the strongest thing we can do right now is to stay together. My aunt just visited me from California and she was sitting here. She goes, "I don't care. I just block people." I'm like, "Great. Thanks a lot. You just joined the other side." I mean, if you really care about what's going on and you're just going to push block and I can't do it, then okay, fine. You're part of the problem. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're right. You're right. I know I shouldn't." So don't get me wrong. If somebody triggers you or comes at you hard, it's okay to pause,
Right, and it's okay to
but
block,
please
like,
pause.
trolls and bullies and stuff, you
Yes,
know?
yes,
Yeah,
if there's no winning them, that's fine, especially if you don't know them, right?
yeah.
But I have so many sidebar messages on social media from people in my community that are elected Republican officials that say, "Can we talk about this for a second?" And we do, and we have great conversations. I think that's important. I ran in 2020 for the state house, and that was during the pandemic. Couldn't hold any big events, had to knock on doors with a mask over my face and back up every time. But I talked to people. I knocked on 8,000 doors in my district.
Wow, that's
Yes, because
amazing.
I knew that in this very, very red area, the only way people would even consider voting for me is if they had the opportunity to meet me and to hear my why and to listen to me explain to them how and why I wanted to fight for them. And in doing that, there were countless houses that had Donald Trump, Kelly Thompson signs in their yard. It's just a matter of knowing each other and trusting each other. So they redistricted, after 2020, and they came right up my side of the district, and they cut out my house, and they went right around it. So to run again, I would have had to be in a whole nother district. But so
Wow,
what? I
yeah.
decided to run for Congress instead. So There we
Well,
are.
good for you. They
Yeah.
gerrymandered my state house District 70 pretty terribly, so it's really rural. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
understand the pain
You
of the
know that feeling.
redistricting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
wanna call out the hypocrisy of the Democrats for a minute. We're real big in posting memes that say we care about everybody, we care about all.
Mhm.
But really, do you? Do you
Mhm.
care about those that are voting Republican?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
I
I it
saw I saw during the pandemic, this is like the worst of our side. I
right.
saw Democrats happy when Republicans died of COVID because they didn't believe in the shot and they didn't get the vaccine and they died of COVID. And I'm like, well, this is the worst of us.
This
Uh
is.
this, we don't have empathy for the fact that they trusted their political party and their political party went anti-science and
Right.
gave them false information and they trusted that false information which ended up killing some of them. Shouldn't we care about them? And I
Mm.
just want to point out sometimes hurt people, and I don't think the people that want to hurt people should be in charge of our party. I think we should get people like you that
Yes. Let's
care
elect
about
healthy people.
everybody.
Right, that care about everybody.
Care
I
about
listen,
everybody.
I told you I was with my dad driving back and forth to the hospital, and I remember driving home one day, we were talking about something, and he goes, "This can't be true. I've never heard this. How have I not heard this?" And I'm like, you gotta get your news from multiple sources. My car has CNN, MSNBC, NPR, Fox News, all of it, because we need to hear all of it. I need to know what my neighbors are listening to on both sides. I need to
Right.
know and understand. And so that I can talk with them and say, yeah, but let's think about that. Is that uniting us or is that dividing us? This is important. Start where
I
you are.
Timmy has been messaging great things, and I want to talk about one of the things she said. She said, someone in the right position has to stand up to Trump, not only Trump, but his enablers. How can Republicans do this to people? Do they not have family or friends or mothers or spouses to keep their morals in check? Not every Republican can be top 1%. So why would they want to do this to people? Kimmy, that is a really good question, and I appreciate you asking it. And I want to talk about this right now because this is something I'm figuring out for myself, and I have been for the last year. Most Republicans have no freaking idea what is actually going on. They're either not getting much news, they're not paying attention because they're busy in their own lives, they're not as online as us, or they're being fed fake propaganda. And so they think Trump is taking care of them. Even though Trump is actively hurting people and trying to be fascist and take away our democracy, he's telling them, don't worry, I'm going to break the system and then fix it. So they think that he's coming to fix the things, whereas we know, no, he's not. He's going to make it so he stays in power, or his friends stay in power, and he's not going to give us democracy. So I understand why you're so upset, Kimmy, because you know what's going on. You get it. But I'm telling you, when I go to Republican events, they don't know. I went to a
Right.
big Republican event on Saturday with my friend Jason Kerberg, who's a Republican cop running for sheriff in Floyd County, Indiana, and there were a few hundred people there. They did not know. They didn't know about Indiana gerrymandering. They didn't know about what our governor's doing, or Micah Beckwith, our lieutenant governor. They don't know that public education is suffering. They don't know our libraries are being defunded. They don't know our energy bills are going up because of Republicans. They do not know. So we can't assume that they're awful people choosing to vote against us. We have to realize most of them have no idea. What do you think about that? Do you agree? What do you think?
Yeah. So here's yes, and yes, and a couple words that she used in her question that I want to call attention to. One is she said, "Don't Republicans see?" I have had to draw a line of demarcation between the Trump administration, right, and the people I know that would consider themselves Republicans. There's a difference. And we have to be very careful in how we ask these types of questions because you're right. They don't know. But you know what? There's stuff we don't know. We
Right.
have to be careful to say, you're being fed, I'm being fed. It's our job to try. Those of us who have the headspace, the bandwidth, the energy, the opportunity, the time to dig in and figure out what's really going on. Yes, I agree. My parents didn't know. They didn't know. And that's why they voted that way because they were only being fed one side. There is a power structure in play, and they win when we don't know and when we in turn blame each other. So be very careful. in how we talk about Republicans, because these are our family members, these are our friends, these are our neighbors who also have kids moving home because they can't afford to live where they are
Don't you
anymore.
get those Republican mailers from our, like, state house and state senate reps
Not
that
only do we
act
get
like
them, we
they're
pay for them.
we pay
Yes.
for them. Yeah, we pay
Yes.
our tax dollars for
Mhm.
them, and they
Right.
act like they're fighting for us. Like, if you
Yep.
just read that every 6 months or however often they send those, you're like, "Oh, great. Our local officials are doing what we want. That's great." And it's complete propaganda. Like, my
Mhm.
biggest pet peeve is how they say how much money they're putting on education, and they don't separate public
The
education
vouchers.
from charter and vouchers. And the charter and vouchers, there's loopholes, so those people are
Mm,
making the people that are running those schools are making tons of money, and it's like defunding our public schools so badly. Yeah,
right.
so if you imagine the little information they are getting, looks like they're
Mhm.
doing a great job, and then they're not telling us the terrible things they're doing at the state level and the local level. They're keeping that as quiet as possible, and
I
that's
even
for a
think some of our
reason.
legislators don't understand.
I
I think these
totally agree
people
with
have
you.
been
You are
voted to
right.
office and they're not paying attention either. They're like, I got a little pin, I get a little check, I have some decent health care, and so I need to stay in this position. I also go home and run a bunch of businesses and make money here too. And now I have the ability to make sure that I make sure my businesses are taken care of. Who cares about everybody else? Listen, back to Kimmy's question over there and the point that you brought up across the state right now, if you have NIPSCO as an electrical supplier for your home, then you have seen your electricity bills go up. What people, Democrat, Republican, whatever, what Hoosiers don't understand is that our state house had control over that. They could have stopped that, and they chose not to. Most people don't know that. They want to blame NIPSCO. And yes, NIPSCO is not innocent here, right? They're a business that wants to make as much money as they possibly can. But the people that we elected to go to Indianapolis and fight for us and stand up for us. And they told us that they would, are not. And if we don't rightly assign, I hate the word blame, so I'm going to use the word responsibility, but ultimately it really is blame. Okay. If we don't rightly assign this, then we don't know who to aim for. How
Right.
are we supposed to fix this if we don't know the problem? But I'm going to tell you something, the problem is not my neighbor who voted Republican. That's not the problem. The problem is the Republican who won because Indiana, one of only 6 states that still allows straight ticket voting with one button push, they are so protected and they are so insulated that we have very little voice in our own lives. And that's a
Yeah.
shame.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be. But until we, the voters, understand that and we can come together and realize we're not going to go to hell for voting for a Democrat. Listen, I was just down in Adams County. I was at a 4 H fair. It doesn't even have a midway, right? So it's just 4 H people. So it was a tough room for a Democrat down
Oh,
there, right?
yeah.
I mean, every shirt
Mhm.
was God and country. And I get it. I get it. Okay. But they were all lined up waiting to get food, right? So I thought, here I am. I can just, they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to stand in line. I'm going to pass out my literature to them. I'm going to introduce myself to them and let them know who I am. So I did that for the better part of a couple hours. But one of the couples that I talked to, and boy, we had some interesting conversations, but we could talk for hours on that. But one of them was saying, oh, you're a Democrat. I could never vote for you. And I'm like, okay, all right. Want to talk? Tell me why. Where do you think we disagree? And so we had a little bit of conversation. And he said, as I was starting to walk away, he goes, but I do want to say something. And I said, okay, what would you like to say? And he said, we in Indiana, we pay a really high wheel tax and stuff to pay for our roads. At least that's what we're supposed to be paying for. And our roads really, really suck. And I said, well, you understand that the Republicans have had control of the state house for 20 years. So if you're not happy with the way your tax dollars are being spent in this state, maybe vote differently. Maybe just consider that,
Yeah.
He laughed and said, yeah, maybe so. Ha, ha, ha. He's waiting in line for food. But I thought these are the nuggets. You want to say, I'm a diehard Republican and I will be till the day I die, but I don't like what's going on in my state. Well, let me tell you something. They have been in power for over 20 years. They've had a super majority for the
Yep.
better part of 10 or 11, right? So if we're not happy here, if you don't like your NIPSCO bill, vote differently.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take.
Yeah. And we have made our political parties like our religion and our identity, and that has really hurt us.
Not even
And the
just like.
Democrats are to blame for this as much as the Republicans.
Yep.
And we have to say, no, 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 we're going to vote for the person. And that helps keep both sides better.
Yep.
We can fix this. This is the thing where everything sounds so doom and gloom right now, but we have
Hmm.
an election coming up, not that long, a year from
Hopefully.
November, just a year
Yes.
and a couple months. We have an election where if we can get the word out enough to Hoosiers that the people in power are not representing us anymore, vote differently. And if we vote for the person and not the party, and we kick some of these people out, that will send a very loud and clear message. It doesn't matter how much we gerrymander Indiana. It doesn't matter how much we suppress the vote here and how hard we make it to vote. If the majority of Hoosiers are upset and informed, they will vote differently. So
Yes.
there is a solution here. And
There
I think
is.
this is a good time for you, Kelly, to run for Congress because people are waking up. This is huge that your parents switched a couple weeks
Hmm.
ago. This is
Hmm.
huge. How
Hmm.
many other people that have voted for Trump numerous times are waking up? And are Democrats empathetically inviting them in, or they yelling at them because they're hurt and they want to blame them? That's on us, and we've got to do a better job about the big tent thing where we welcome people in. But we can do this. Like,
Yes.
it's so scary, but Indiana is so bad now that people are noticing, but we need
Yep.
to tell them why it's bad
Yep.
nicely.
Yep.
And then we need to give them voting info because voting things are going to change. Like, I know around here we're doing voting centers. Like, there's a lot of voting things that are going to change in Harrison
Yep.
County. So we're going to have to figure out the voting, and then we're going to have to educate everybody. How do they vote for Kelly?
Yep.
How do they
Yep.
vote for my friend Tim Peck? How do they vote for me?
Yep.
How do they vote for these people so that we can actually change the system? And it's kind of easy on us, honestly. Like, I'm talking to Jason and I'm like, Jason, do you know about Micah Beckwith? Because you just got your picture with him. This was a few months
Hmm.
ago when we first became
Okay.
friends. And he's like, no, I just know he's the lieutenant governor. He told us we need to spend less things. So I'm going to try to do it and not spend so much. I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you a few things about Micah Beckwith. So Jason had no idea. He's horrified.
Yeah.
And I talked to other people, prominent Republicans in Floyd County, and I'm like, "Do you know about Micah Beckwith and what he's doing?" And they are horrified. They're just like, "Oh, we were told he's a good Christian man." And that's
See.
all they need to hear. He's a good
Right.
Christian man. I can trust him. It's like, no, 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 no. He's the wrong type
Yeah.
of
Good Christian
Christianity.
man.
He's
Yeah.
the bad type. Let
He's
me
a bad
explain
Christian
why.
man.
And
Yeah.
so you got to realize we're all super in the world of how scary Micah Beckwith is.
Hmm.
Republicans in Indiana, most of them have no idea. Even ones that are like, I talked to a commissioner on Saturday, didn't know what Micah Beckwith was
Yep.
doing. I'm like, you guys, they don't know because
They
they
don't
don't,
know.
it's embarrassing. They want to hide it. They don't want
Mhm.
to shine a light. So it's kind of easy for us to get the word out about how bad the Republicans in power are in Indiana, but we have to not be scared to talk to them. And
Right.
our side has really pumped the fear on why
Yep.
we should be scared of Republicans, and I'm kinda mad at our side for doing that, honestly.
Well, and also, yes, what you did, helping people understand about Micah Beckwith and how dangerous of an individual he really is in a country that purports itself to be free. And he is definitely that, and he is in line to become our next governor, right? I mean, that's where he is right now. But the other thing that we need to help our fellow Hoosiers understand is that we have an insanely high infant mortality rate. We have an insanely high maternal mortality rate. Our soil, our air, and our water are some of the most polluted in the world, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
like
this can
trains
all
of,
be
like,
attributed.
toxic sludge from
Yes,
other states come and get
yes.
dumped in ours.
Right. And why is this? Because we're just told, it's all about free up business. Let's remove regulations. Regulations are bad for business. That is code for give me money and I'll let your home go to hell.
Yep,
That's really what's happening. It's
yep,
greed at the expense of the rest of us.
yep,
That is what is happening. But most Hoosiers don't know that. We
right.
don't know that we are living in a place that people in the country don't even want to visit, let alone start a business, right? Plus, it's so short sighted. Some of the top fastest growing industries in this country don't come here. They
Right.
aren't here, right? Well, we don't have housing. We don't have schools. We don't have healthcare. We're shutting hospitals across the state, right? We don't have OBGYN care. Our and maternal mortality rates are high, and we've got to drive where I live over an hour
Yeah, me
to get
too.
to
We don't
anywhere.
have OBGYN doctors in our
No,
county either. Right.
right, right. That's ridiculous. So this whole we're the party of the family, this whole pro-life BS that we've been fed is exactly that BS. It works because we Hoosiers care. We do care. We want to care. We are a good, strong, hardworking people who come together in times of crisis. This is who Hoosiers are. The only way that they can destroy our state is by separating us. And that is what is happening.
Yeah.
If
You're
you ask
so right.
Republicans, Democrats, voters, non-voters, anybody, do you think our water should be cleaner or dirtier? Right? Do
Right.
you
They're gonna
think
pick
that
cleaner,
our
but do you
air
know
should
how
be
we're voting?
cleaner or
We're
yeah, right.
we're voting
These
to
are
make
not,
it so dirty. Like
but we
it's
don't know
insane.
that we're voting. That's the
Right.
thing. We
Yeah.
don't know that we're voting to make it dirtier.
Right.
We don't know that. So we have to tell each other. We have to have a way of saying, listen, this is what we're staring down the barrel of. And if we don't change the people who represent us, nothing's going to change. In
I want to
fact,
get a little
it'll only
bit
change for the worse.
I want to get a little bit into mental health because I've kind of gone on a journey where I've had therapy for a year and a few months now.
Hmm.
And I'm realizing when I have more empathy for myself, it lets me have more empathy for others. And so
Yes.
I kind of just want to reach out to everybody that is hurting right now. I give you my love. I'm so sorry that you're hurting. Is there any way you can get some sort of therapy or self-love, even just like picking up a Mel Robbins book? I like her a lot. She's got
Mm-hmm.
the Let Them theory book, and she has
Yep.
another theory where she's all about just like caring about yourself and forgiving yourself. That is so important. If you are listening to this right now and you are upset and you are saying, "No, Sarah and Kelly, you are wrong. These people are hurting us on purpose." I'm telling you, look inward just a little bit and forgive yourself for everything, everything, and to forgive others because like your parents did the best they could, or maybe they're bad, maybe they hurt you. You know, I'm just saying sometimes I think we need to look inward here and get really mentally strong and care about ourselves and others before we can go out. Because if we're not fixing us inside and we're full of rage, I think that does more damage than good right now. If like I had a friend that wanted to take a guillotine out to a protest. And I'm like, I don't think that's the best strategy
Right.
right now. And I can feel your rage. And I don't think that's a welcoming
Hmm.
thing. And I
Yep.
think we need to do some work on ourselves. What do you think?
Yeah, no, 100%. I remember, when I started that nonprofit to help our local teens and then help their families, I traveled the country and did a lot of what would be termed like lay counseling training to help these families learn how to communicate peacefully in their homes, and things that people just don't, you're not born knowing how to do. And if you didn't grow up in a good home, then you didn't have those type of skills. And I wanted to be able to bring those to our families because that was part of helping our local youth was, if you can help their families, you're helping them, right? And you can um I'm trying to find the words. You can stop generational trauma, right? If you
Yes,
can make a
yes.
change, then you can put this is going to stop here today. And I remember in all of my learning one day, I came home and I was sitting on my sofa and I went to get up and I bumped my coffee table and I spilled my coffee. And my reaction was, "Oh my God," frustration with myself. And I sat back down and I thought, if I had a friend in my living room right now who just spilled her coffee, how would I react? And I would have been like, "Oh, it's no problem. It's just coffee. Let me clean it up. Not a big deal." Right.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
didn't do that to myself. And, we're taught we have to love others as we love
Love ours.
ourselves. So until we learn how to love ourselves, there's an order there that I think is very important. When we learn how to love ourselves, because we intimately know our flaws and shortcomings, right? We know we're trying to hide them even from ourselves all the time, but we really know. And when we cut ourselves some slack, we learn how to cut other people some slack. And
Yeah.
that's how you stay in connection with people who think and vote and talk and live and worship and work differently than
Yeah.
us. And that's so powerful.
Yeah, that you said that really well. You're so amazing, and I really thank you for the work you've put in with helping with youth and suicide. Think about all the good you put into this world. That's
Yeah.
such a beautiful thing. Thank you for doing that. That's
Oh,
something that is affecting all of our communities, especially people that are struggling so much, which they're struggling more now in our country. So I don't know. I just think that's really beautiful that you're doing this. I know that when I can forgive myself for the things I'm most ashamed about, it really
hmm,
helps me to forgive others that I'm upset with. Like,
yeah.
my neighbors that's voting for Trump 3 times, and I can just really stop and say, "Look, I have been tricked before. I have thought things that were wrong. I have been manipulated by religious people. I've been manipulated by bosses. I've been manipulated by bad relationships." And when I can admit I have been tricked and forgive
Yeah.
myself, it really helps me to say, these people have been tricked. And also, when you talk to somebody with a Trump sign, don't be scared of them
Yeah.
and find out why they're voting for Trump. You're going to find out you have way more in common with that person than you think. They want to support their families too, but they
Yep.
just think that person is doing it for them. They don't realize they're being duped by him.
Yep. When I ran in 2020 and I started knocking on all those doors, and I would go up to the doors of the people who had Trump signs in their yard, and I knew going up to it, this one is going to be risky, right? And I'd knock on the door and they would say to me, hello, and I'd say, "Hi, you want to drain the swamp, right?" Right? And they'd be like, "Yeah." And I said, "Me too." And that's a factual statement. I'm not
Yeah.
lying to anybody.
No.
I don't care what party you're from. If you're not part of the solution, get out of the way. We need them gone. Neither side is all good. Okay. So let's clean house a little bit and get rid of the people that are in the way of the working families being able to take care of their working families. That's all. We just have to talk to each other. We
Yeah.
really, really do.
It's painful. I've been on this journey recently since I started running for state house last time, and I'm more involved in Indiana politics. I was kind of horrified to realize our Indy City Council aren't always doing what's best for us. And I became friends with Jesse Brown, who's my favorite city councilor. I'm very grateful for him. And he's helping to push his party and Democrats to be better. And he's
Yes.
doing it by making everybody aware how they're voting.
Right.
And everybody needs to realize just because you have a D by your name doesn't mean you're representing us. And Chicago's got issues. A lot of places where it's super majority Democrats, the Democrats have stopped listening to the people and they're doing the selfish lobbyist money power thing.
Yep.
And it's painful to realize because there's so many people in that Democrat tribe that are like, Democrat no matter what, I've been Democrat my whole life. And it's like, again, we need to vote for the person, not the party. But it's painful to recognize
Yeah.
that Democrats aren't always doing a great job. And
Yep.
once we get there faster, we can call them out when they're not doing great. So I'm really
Yep.
proud. I feel like the Indy City Council is starting to do better. And
Yep.
I give a lot of credit to Jesse Brown for that.
And
But
what Jesse's doing is beautiful. And I've told the people that I've talked to, part of the job is when I get elected is to go to Washington D.C. and fight for the families here in this district. But the other part of my job is to come home from DC and tell the people in the district what is happening, what isn't happening, what's being said, and what's not being said. There has to be that communication back and forth. That is the job. But for far too long, people get elected and then they forget about the people that elected them. They just go up and do whatever the hell they're going to do. They're going to take their lobbyist money. They're going to make sure their families get the money that they need. And listen, until we can affect campaign finance reform, I mean, that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. I understand that the need for people to have money to run makes it very, very tempting to take checks from big business, to take checks from super PACs and dark
oh,
money. I
yes.
understand that temptation, but don't vote. Hear me very clearly. Do not vote for people who will not look you in the eye and tell you, I will not take super PAC money. I will not take dark money. I will not take money from big business. I will not be bought. And oftentimes when I'm in events, I look at people in the eye and I say, how much money would somebody have to give you for you to turn your back on your kids? How much money would somebody have to give you for you to give poison water to your grandbaby? That number doesn't exist. None of
Right.
us are going to do that. Find those people and vote for them. But
Yep.
here's the thing, the only way they're going to win is if normal people like me and you say, I'll give you $5 a month. I'll give you
Right.
$10 a month to do this. It takes money to run, it takes money to win. And if you're not going to take those big checks from those ne'er do wells, then you have to have support from the people who are,
And
I
that's the
get
Bernie
money from
Sanders
all
player.
over.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is,
How
but
do people
that's for
give
the
to you,
people.
Kelly? How do people
So
give to
yes,
you?
so if you, an easy way is to find me on Facebook at Kelly Thompson for Congress, and you can find my Act Blue link pinned to the top of that page, or you can go to my website at kellythompsonforcongress.com, and you'll be able to find it there as well, as long as policies. I have policies on education. I have
Are you
policies
on
there
Act
because
Blue too? A lot of people
yep,
just go
that's
to
it.
Act Blue, so
Yep,
search
yep.
for
You
Act
can
Blue.
Kelly Thompson for Congress, Act Blue. You can find me there. All of those are Act Blue links. Or if you'd rather write a check, you can, and you can mail it to Kelly Thompson for Congress at P.O. Box 91, Columbia City, Indiana 46725. I will take it however you want to give it. Nobody can give me more than $3,500. Okay. For each election, which means if you really, really, really just are dying to give me 7 grand, you have to give me 3,500 and then wait till after the primary and give me another 3,500. There are limits to how much we can take. That's kind of a joke, but I just want to let people know that there is a limit, because I've gotten some of those checks that are at that limit mark. And actually, my two biggest checks have come from outside of my district, because people understand that what we need is control of the House. What we need is real people like me to be in control of the House, because once you get there, you write the laws for the country. Once
Right.
you get there, you pass the budget for the country. And so people are understanding that if they can find candidates they can believe in, they want to support them and they want to help them get there. And so that's it. What I'm asking people for is $5 a month, tell 5 people about me, and take at least one person to the polls that doesn't normally vote in a midterm election.
Doing that makes such a difference. You're so right.
Yeah.
And then the
Yep.
last thing I want to say, besides you're amazing, and I'm really thankful that you're running, and I'm thankful that you live in Indiana,
Thank
is
you.
if you were elected and you wanted to pass legislation down in DC that would help all Americans and not just Democrats, I imagine you would walk across the aisle and find as many Republicans that would listen to you as possible and help convince them to vote with you. And that is something that we are missing in the Democratic Party right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, because the division that we talked about a minute ago doesn't stop existing when you walk in the Capitol building. Okay, that division is still there. When we, the people, refuse to be divided, then we will refuse to demand that our legislators be divided. Right? We won't see collaboration and cooperation as a negative thing, and we will understand. And here's the thing, if I've got, let's make up a state, we're going to call it Munchy Munch state, I don't know, if I've got somebody from a different state that doesn't want to help me help working families, I have no problem going to the people in that state and saying, I'm asking your legislator to help me pass legislation that will give you affordable housing, that will strengthen your public schools, that will give you better and easier and more affordable access to health care, that will give you childcare. 51% of our country lives in childcare deserts. 51%. And yet we're telling people just go get another job if life's too hard.
Yeah,
How
we're
in the
gaslighting them. It's
hell
your fault.
are, yes, it is gaslighting extraordinaire. That
Yeah.
is what's happening here. We have made it impossible for you to jump through the hoops that we've told you have to jump through in order to make it. Sorry, the madness has to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for running. I'm really glad I got to talk to you today. You are
Oh,
amazing.
thank you.
Your district is lucky to have you running. Everybody, get the word out about Kelly Thompson. You don't have to be in her district. You can be anywhere in the country. You can help her, give her $5 a month. She's not taking dark money. She's not taking corporate money. She's listening to us. She's fighting for that big, beautiful, diverse family of hers. And
Yes.
what what else is there to fight for? We have got to fight for our future, for our children. We cannot keep this trajectory going for our
Yes.
children. We have to
Yep.
stop and say no. I would love to just be there for my kids and to just not do Project Next and to just pay attention to them, but I can't because if I don't do something now, what is going to happen to their future?
We don't
So
have that luxury. That's right. It's
you and
exactly
Tim
right.
Peck have a lot in common. And
Oh, we
I
should
think
meet.
that, yeah, you guys should definitely meet.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just so thankful you're running. And if you are new to Project Next, please follow us. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We have a Substack called Project Next Indiana. You can also listen to us as a podcast. We are on Apple and Spotify. And then if you wouldn't mind sharing, invite your friends on Facebook to follow us. We are growing, but we are a new independent media company that relies on you all to help spread the word about what we're doing. We're trying to stop hate, fear, and division and save the
Yep.
country and the world. That's all. Thank
That's
you.
exactly right. Yep.
Thank you, Kelly. You are amazing.
Yes.
Let me know if you want to come back on again sometime, especially if you're
Anytime.
having a big event or something. I would love to
Great.
support you. It just
Great. Maybe Tim and I could be on together. That would be
that would
awesome.
be
There's no
yeah.
reason to hoard our ideas. Let's work together.
Yeah, I love that. You guys
Okay.
have a lot in common. Yeah, it's pretty
Great.
amazing. Yeah, thank
Sarah,
you
thank you.
everybody. And Kelly, good luck with your campaign. And I'm here cheering
Thank
you
you.
on, girl. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. All
Yeah,
right.
thanks.
We've got work
Bye
to do.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you.